So, here's the thing. Every time you think the Meghan Markle circus can't get any messier, someone lobs another grenade. This time, it's none other than Ghislaine Maxwell. Yes, that Ghislaine, the woman at the center of the Jeffrey Epstein nightmare. The same woman who's supposedly still in prison, though she's been suspiciously quiet, until now. Because apparently, she's been talking, and not just about Epstein. She's pointing a very polished, manicured finger straight at Meghan Markle. And the story she's telling? Wild. Word is, from inside those prison walls, or wherever she actually is, Ghislaine claims there's a CV. Not the job-hunting kind of CV. No, this is allegedly a document that paints a very different picture of Meghan's pre-royal life. One that's less Hallmark actress and more adult-themed entertainment and private roleplay. And the phrase being tossed around? Playing the adult game. Vague enough to deny, juicy enough to raise eyebrows. It's not just tabloids running with it, either. This came from a leaked prison statement. That alone is enough to break the internet. Meghan's defenders jumped in immediately, calling it slander, a distraction, a desperate smear campaign. And honestly, it does sound extreme. But here's the kicker, the person fueling it isn't some Twitter troll. It's Ghislaine Maxwell, a woman who was actually in Epstein's social circle, right at the core. If she's naming names now, people are going to listen, even if through gritted teeth. Then, just when it looked like things might explode, the court stepped in. A U.S. judge denied the request to release Epstein's grand jury transcripts. The official reason? Protecting the safety and privacy of the victims. Fair enough. But if there's nothing there, why not just release it and be done? Instead, they slam the file shut and lock it away like a national secret. That only makes people dig harder. One article, published before the judge's ruling, warned that Prince Andrew should brace himself. Apparently, those government files were set to expose his connections with Epstein, and Meghan may have been caught in the periphery. Let's not forget, according to Virginia Giuffre's attorney, Meghan actually knew Virginia. They weren't strangers. That's why the attorney wanted to depose Meghan in the first place. Not for headlines, but because she might have known exactly what was going on. And that's the twist. Meghan wasn't just a passive observer in this saga. She had a front row seat. If the lawyer is right, and this was literally put in court filings, she saw more than she's ever admitted publicly. The claim was that Meghan held knowledge that could confirm details about the royals. Information she kept locked in what one source bluntly called her egotistical noggin. So, if Ghislaine's documents are real, and Meghan really was floating in those high society circles before Suits and before Harry, things are about to get ugly. They already have. If there's truth to this adult entertainment adjacent history, her whole image, the podcasting duchess, the lifestyle brand founder, the wellness guru, starts to crack. But here's the irony, Meghan might not even need Ghislaine's help to damage her brand. Over the past few years, she's done a thorough job all by herself. Family fallouts. The Netflix mess. Fake vows. Backtracking on book lies. The foundation is already shaky. So when something like this hits, even as rumor, it sticks. That's what makes this situation dangerous. Playing the adult game isn't just a throwaway phrase. It's one of those expressions that says everything and nothing at the same time. Some hear it and think escort culture. Others go straight to the darker rabbit holes of Hollywood's underbelly. Whatever it means, Ghislaine knew what she was doing when she said it. She dropped a match into a puddle of gasoline. And now the fire is spreading. Meanwhile, Meghan has been busy rebranding. First it was American Riviera Orchard. Now it's, as ever, a lifestyle label with pastel jars of jam and overpriced candles. But how do you launch a wholesome, empowering empire when someone's connecting your name to Epstein's circle and phrases like adult roleplay? You don't. You drown it in influencer kits and hope no one asks questions. But people are asking. And it's not just gossip bloggers. Virginia Giuffre's legal team made it clear Meghan wasn't just a name on a call sheet. She reportedly knew Virginia personally and may have had first-hand knowledge of what went on in those circles. That's why they considered putting her on the stand, to testify under oath about what she saw and knew. In a high-profile civil suit, a name like Meghan Markle carries weight. Not for show, but because proximity matters. If she was around Andrew, around Virginia, around that world, then silence becomes a choice. Now, here's where things shift. According to the attorney's statement, Meghan could be expected to tell the truth. That sounds optimistic. Too optimistic. Because let's be honest, Meghan's track record with truth isn't spotless. Remember her insistence that she had nothing to do with finding freedom? That collapsed in court when documents showed she had worked with the authors behind the scenes. So if she's already been caught bending the truth under oath, what's stopping her from bending it again? Especially when the stakes are even higher. Even if she never testifies, the mere possibility rattles the castle. And people are rattled. Harry, the man who walked away from the royal family to protect his wife, is now standing beside someone who might have walked straight through the heart of the Epstein network and never said a word. According to that same attorney, she wasn't just brushing shoulders with Prince Andrew. She was a close companion. That phrasing doesn't sound accidental. Close companion implies familiarity. It implies access, it implies she saw things, and maybe even participated in conversations or moments she'd rather the public never hear about. Then comes the CV. The actual document Ghislaine claims exists. Not a resume of acting gigs, but something far more compromising. The kind of file that, if it ever sees daylight, could unravel everything. Supporters call it fabrication, but the people behind these accusations aren't fringe bloggers. They are convicted insiders and lawyers running major suits, people who understand legal fallout and media pressure. Which means Meghan is boxed in. If she stays silent, people assume guilt. If she denies it, critics call it spin. If she sues, that CV had better not exist, because discovery would be brutal. Either way, her every move is being watched. Not just by fans and followers, but by lawyers, journalists, and maybe even a few royals desperate to keep certain doors sealed shut. The chaos isn't just in the allegations. It's in the silence. Meghan hasn't addressed a single word of it. No denial. No legal threats. No carefully worded PR statement about baseless character attacks. Just a curated Instagram feed, polished rollouts for as ever, and glossy photos of overpriced jam jars. That quiet speaks louder than any interview ever could. Ghislaine Maxwell's credibility is a mess, no question. But she was neck-deep in Epstein's operations. The idea that she'd randomly invent a connection to Meghan Markle, of all people, makes no strategic sense. Not unless that connection already existed. Especially if a document is backing her claim. And these aren't ancient rumors dredged up from 2009 Reddit threads. These statements are coming from inside prison, or wherever Ghislaine actually is. Which means someone wants the world to hear them. Now place that against the backdrop of high-ranking panic. Prince Andrew was literally told to brace himself. That kind of language isn't used casually. And if Meghan really was close to him back then, even on the edges of that world, it complicates everything. Because this isn't just guilt by association. It's about access. If she was in the room, if she witnessed things, if she had proximity to conversations or arrangements involving Epstein and his enablers, then silence becomes suspect. Especially once the legal system starts asking questions. This isn't just the past catching up. It's a direct hit to Meghan's entire public persona. For years, she's been packaged as the woman who broke free from toxic royalty, who stood against media cruelty, who built a brand on honesty, authenticity, and girl-boss empowerment. But if even a fraction of this is true, none of it holds. The whole image collapses. And a rebrand from that? Nearly impossible. People forgive mistakes. They don't forgive being lied to. If Meghan had once owned up to Hollywood's shadowy side, the world might have moved on. But this alleged document doesn't tell a story of mistakes. It tells a story of secret deals, selective amnesia, and a carefully crafted facade. You can't build an empire on transparency while hiding skeletons in a luxury walk-in closet. The real danger is exposure. If that CV ever surfaces through a leak, a whistleblower, or a court filing, it's game over. Because even if exaggerated or misinterpreted, perception is everything. And once the media sinks its teeth into a story like this, no amount of pastel branding or scented candles can pull it back. Then there's Harry. He left the royal family, burned bridges, cut ties, all to protect Meghan. What happens when he sees her name connected to Epstein in court filings? When lawyers say she has key information about Prince Andrew's behavior? When they hint she knew more than she admitted? That kind of betrayal, if true, doesn't just break trust. It shatters everything. And here's the part that can't be ignored. Virginia Giuffre's attorney spoke with absolute confidence. No hesitation. No hedging. He believed Meghan had valuable testimony, that she could validate Virginia's story. That she wasn't just a bystander. That kind of certainty doesn't come from gossip. It comes from knowledge. From interviews, emails, witness reports. From evidence that builds a legal strategy. Which means Meghan's carefully constructed image is now under the sharpest microscope it has ever faced.